back to Rebel Ants Radio with your hosts, Kevin and Miguel. Miguel, you have a lot of explaining to do. Where were you today? You've abandoned me. You've abandoned my boy.
It's a long story.
It's a long story. You were supposed to meet us for pumpkin picking today, and then you just didn't show up. How are we supposed to pick pumpkins without you?
It was a rough night.
Rough night. Well, you're in luck because I would spend the next hour berating you about this, but we do have a special guest returning with us today, Alyssa Stevens, and so I will save your berating for the future.
I don't think that's going to happen. Somehow I feel like you're going to just put it in there.
Yeah, it'll come up again tonight. That's for sure. I don't want to make her uncomfortable while she's live on stream, but it might come up again. But we have 9 people joining us already, so thank you for hanging with us on the YouTubes. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, give us a follow on the X at Rebel Ants, and give Alyssa a follow on X at Alyssa Stevens _. And I want to find out from her who has Alyssa Stevens no underscore, because we need to take care of that person. We need to buy out that for her.
We do.
She deserves better. All right, are we ready?
We are ready.
Let's get her going. Here we go. All right, Alyssa, welcome back. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good. Would you ever abandon somebody for pumpkin picking after telling them they would be there?
There we go.
I'm not gonna lie, that's so something I would do.
I'm in the minority here, then, for sure.
Listen, things happened last night. All right, I was a little intoxicated. I couldn't get up this morning.
Things happened. Ugh, unbelievable. Have you gone pumpkin picking this season, Alyssa?
No, I really want to. I want to do that and like apple picking and everything, and I just haven't yet. And I don't really have an excuse because I was just back at home in Massachusetts by like all the farms and stuff.
Yes, I bet the foliage, I bet the fall colors are looking great up there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, we got to talk about this. Now you live in New York, right?
Yeah, I live in Queens, but I'm in the city a lot, and yeah, I love New York.
Better than like Massachusetts?
Yeah, yes. I like it way more than Massachusetts. Like I mean, I'm from the middle of nowhere, Massachusetts, so there's really not much there, and it is beautiful, but like to live, it just gets depressing in my opinion. And there's just like no opportunity there. And I never really liked Boston very much. I lived there for a little bit. So yeah, New York is much more in my vibe.
Nice. I know I told you I was going to take it easy on you tonight, but I lied. I set you up because I have a question for you and you have some explaining to do.
Oh my God, no.
October 20th, you said new vlog this week, and it's been like 9 months since your last one. What's going on?
I literally always do this. I'm like so excited, and I'm almost done editing a vlog, and I tweet out like new vlog this week, and then it doesn't come out this week. But so I'm almost done editing that vlog, but the thing is I had a whole thing I was doing this week, which I was vlogging, and I want to get that content out. So now I feel like I should put that one out before this one. That's almost done being edited. But yeah, I like hadn't been vlogging for about a year. I don't really know why. I just kind of stopped doing it, but I've always loved vlogging. So I'm making myself get back into it. It just takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it, so it's worth it.
All right, we will. We look forward to it being released then.
Thanks.
So, Alyssa, for the new people watching today, tell us your story from the beginning again. I know we have you on an interview a year and a half ago, but it's been a long time.
More, it was January 2023. January 2023. It's almost 2 years. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back on here and just like connect with you guys again because it's been too long. So I guess I'll start from just like how I got into Web3. I always I've been making art since I was in high school. I mean before that too, but like more seriously since high school. And then I got an iPad and started creating digital art back in around like 2020, 2021. And then I learned about the Web3 space from Gary Vee, which is like super random, but he was just talking about the importance of blockchain technology for artists and creators and having real ownership over your content and everything like that. So it kind of like made me go down a little rabbit hole of research around Web3, and then I minted my first collection in March of 2022 and got really lucky because I was super new to the space and had like 30 followers, and then because I joined a Twitter space and talked about it, a lot of people shared my art, which got it featured on the homepage of OpenSea, and then I sold out. And so that was kind of like how my journey began, and that was a couple years ago. Or maybe almost 3 years ago. So yeah, I've just been like progressing and developing as an artist since, and I've moved to New York where I've connected with a lot of really cool people who are in the Web3 space and a lot of cool artists. So that's where I'm at right now.
It was pretty cool. We actually met at NFT NYC 23, which was pretty cool because I think, was your art being featured that year? I don't remember.
I think it was. I can't remember. I know it was featured in 2022, and then there was one year I'm pretty sure I forgot to submit art for it. So there's one year maybe it wasn't. I don't remember, but I think I spoke last year.
Oh, that's right. You were a speaker. Yeah, you were a speaker in 23. And I didn't even make it. I was supposed to make it, but I
Oh
didn't.
my
It's
God,
okay.
another
know.
abandonment.
Oh my God, I
Mine
was
came to mind
intoxicated
you.
too that day.
It was too early. I was like not doing well that morning. It was like day 4 of NFT NYC.
Kevin was a speaker this year that just passed.
Oh, cool. How was it?
Yes, highly successful. We sold out. The room was packed. No, I'm kidding. There was like 10 people there, and I think 4 of them were there that I knew. So it was okay. It was a really cool experience. I'm glad I got to do it. And I've been thinking already, like, if I were to apply again for next year as a speaker, what would my topic be? Because I want a free ticket to NFT NYC, so I'm trying to see how I can do that. So
Yeah,
that's kind of the path I'm on right now. So your journey starting in, art, moving into the digital art, what do you consider yourself now? Just artist, or like, do you still call yourself like a Web3 artist, or, how do you look at it?
I usually will just either say artist or multidisciplinary artist. I don't really like feel like it's necessary to say, for me anyways, to say like Web3 or anything. Like, I mean, I do talk about it a lot, but like when I'm just kind of like labeling myself, I feel like just like the broader the better, because I don't
Yeah.
really want to like label myself. So yeah, usually just artist, but since I work in so many different mediums, I do say multidisciplinary sometimes.
That's cool. And is this your sole job, your sole profession is artist?
I think so. I feel like there's like things that are very like related to my art that I want to do that isn't just like me putting my art out and selling it. It's like doing it in different ways, but I think it does all come back to my art and creative things.
Yeah. And since you started, like, how has your process changed in terms of maybe having more time to focus on art, and traveling a bit and kind of being surrounded by more artists? Like, how has your process changed?
It's changed a lot. I feel like I don't know. I look back on like my art from years ago, and some of it I still really love, and some of it I'm like, why did I put that out? Like, I kind of hate it now. I think I've learned to become a lot more intentional with my art, because I
Nice.
feel like a lot of my life art was something that I would just like pick up a sketchbook and start drawing, and it's something I can just like do anywhere. But I think since over the past couple of years, I've learned to kind of develop more of a ritual when it comes to creating and being more like intentional and creating like more of a safe space. And like I don't always have to do that, but I think when I do that is when I produce some of my best work. So just like being more strategic and logical, which is like obviously very opposite to creativity, but I think like balancing it out can be helpful.
That's good. What new influences do you have? Like, what new inspirations do you have now?
I feel like I'm constantly very inspired since I'm in New York. I'm just like around very creative people and seeing people do crazy things all the time. And I feel like New York is a place where like people don't really limit themselves. It's like the people here are like following their dreams. So I think that's very inspiring. And also I just now like have the privilege to be able to go to like art museums and galleries whenever I want and just see some of like the most renowned artwork in the world.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. So, like just last week, I was at the Met and the MoMA, and I think just being surrounded by creative energy has been really good for me.
Let me ask you something. What challenges have you faced in the NFT space now, since you've been in the space for a while now? What do you consider has been the most challenges that you faced, especially with NFTs, with the up and downs and all that kind of stuff?
Definitely like stability and like money. Like I realized you definitely cannot just like solely rely on, I mean, some artists can solely rely on like income from Web3, but it's really difficult. You have to be in like the top 1% of artists and be super well known and selling your art for a ton of money, which is definitely like the goal, but I feel like I'm just still so early in my journey as an artist, so just like being more patient with that and realizing I don't have to have everything figured out all the time. Um, and I think also like this space can be a bit toxic sometimes. Like
Yeah.
not even just
Very
Web3, but yeah, I guess mostly Web3. But like Twitter in general, it's just like sometimes I go on Twitter and I just don't want to be reading like all the negative comments or anything. Sometimes like I feel like there was a time where my algorithm was really positive and it was just art. So I gotta get it back to that.
Are there any new tools that you're using? Any new like Web3 tools or anything like that?
I started using Manifold a lot more, not
Manifold.
only for like creating my contracts and everything, but also I had a series I put out about a month or two ago, and it was like a series of different editions throughout the month, and I used their tool called the Curate page, which basically allows you to just like curate all the different pieces that you have on a manifold contract in one place, which is nothing
Mm.
like groundbreaking, but like it's for manifold, it's kind of cool, and I love manifold because it just gives you a lot more control and power over your work. And I've met the team and been to one of their events, and they're really cool. So I love manifold. But aside from Web3, I've been using a lot of different mediums, like artistically. So I'm really focused on oil pastel work right now,
Mm.
and just physical pieces in general. So something that I might be exploring more is, I think they're called like trace chips or something like that. I know Transient Labs makes them, and you basically can connect something to your physical piece, um, and it just like tracks it on the blockchain. I don't really know exactly how it works. I have to research it more, but planning
That's
on,
interesting. I haven't heard of that, but now I'm real curious about it.
yeah, it seems cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up real fast here. So this is trace transientlabs.xyz, tokenized records for artwork, asset certification, and evolution. Interesting. Does this mean you can like track it where it is in my house, or this is just on the blockchain?
Um, I think it's more so on the blockchain. It's like basically if somebody receives the physical piece, they can like scan the card, which
Ah,
can either be connected to the
Yeah,
art
that
or
makes sense.
just
Yeah.
separate. And yeah, they
yeah,
can do like everything about it on the blockchain, which I think
yeah,
is a good way to bridge the fact that I'm doing more physical pieces, but still doing it in Web3.
yeah. I have a question about that because you have this gigantic painting that you've made a few posts about that,
Yeah.
like, it's bigger than you, and you carrying it down the street is like a challenge. So I want to know more about this painting, but this painting is for sale as an NFT, but then you get the physical one. Is that the idea?
Yeah. And so it hasn't sold yet, so I think I'm probably going to get a trace chip for it.
Oh, cool.
Um, so that whoever owns it will have that. But yeah, it's an NFT. It's my Super Genesis piece, and it comes with the physical, which I got professionally framed, and it was my first piece ever getting professionally
Cool.
framed, and so it's behind museum glass and everything, and it was really a cool experience.
You
That
know,
is pretty cool.
when I was looking on your Twitter, not in a stalker way, I thought the thing that's hanging on the wall behind you was this, but now I'm realizing it's not.
Yeah, this one's
'Cause
huge
that's still
actually.
there. So
It looks way better in natural lighting, but yeah, this one's really big.
that is wow.
That
Okay,
is
so
good.
you're really like scaling up from, like, I think when we last spoke, you were doing notebooks, right? You were using like your notebook, and now you're just like
Yeah.
scaled up. What's that journey like? Is that like a challenge to yourself, or you just want more space? How's this working?
It's definitely been a challenge, but something I felt like I needed to pursue to kind of just grow as an artist. I feel like whenever you go to museums, like the majority of work you see is really large scale. I think that's what draws people in a lot.
Yeah.
And also it was just really fun to work big. Like it's just fun to create and it's fun to experience as the viewer as well. So I'm kind of more focused on doing large scale stuff right now.
That's pretty cool. Do you see any trends or changes in NFT art that are exciting or concerning?
Ooh, I feel like mm, I'm trying to think.
Because you're like in
I
the
mean,
middle of everything, so I mean, you should.
yeah, I always see people's opinions on stuff like things like editions, open editions, stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like for me, I try to stay pretty open minded to everything. Um, I feel like there's something that I want to say and I can't remember what it is. There's like something recently happening in space and now I can't remember. There's always just something.
Yeah.
Um, I know like open editions. I have done like a few like timed open editions. I don't. I'm realizing like I don't want to do that often at all, and I want to be intentional with it. I'm
Mhm.
not saying I'll never do it again, but yeah, just being more intentional with stuff like that. But I also did a series of editions a couple months ago, and it was like limited editions of 10 each. And I thought like if you want to do editions, like limited is a good way to go. But it's like different for everyone, and everyone's so opinionated. And for me, I'm just like every artist is different, so you have to just figure out what works best for you and what you're trying to do.
That's true. What has been your biggest personal growth moment since our last talk?
Um, I mean, there's something that I feel like there's a few different things. Like, actually, I'm not okay. I'll say this one. This one is like I had a piece of artwork go to auction in Italy, and it was part of like the first like NFT artwork auction, I think in Italy or in Europe or something. But it did not sell, and it was like kind of a disappointing experience. But like the fact that it went to auction still feels cool.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, because I've never had a piece like go to it, and it was like a traditional auction house that's pretty well known. So like I don't talk about it a lot because it didn't sell, and I feel like it's like it just didn't go well. Um, but that was a cool opportunity. And then besides that, um, actually right now I just started a Maker's Place residency, so I think that's like a huge thing for me right now that I'm really excited about.
I have a lot of questions for you about that. Hold on, let me pull up.
You know,
Pull
you definitely should talk about the auction because it's something that doesn't happen to anybody. You know what I mean? Like, people, I'm an artist myself, and I could never even dream of being in an auction somewhere. You know what I mean? So even though you didn't sell it, you were still there. So I think you should be really proud that you were just there. You know what I
Thank
mean? So I think
you.
that you should talk about it.
You're
It's
right.
it's good to know.
Thank you. I
Did
I'm proud
you?
of you just having it there.
Yeah, I mean, like that's super impressive.
And no, it's
Did
very
you learn
impressive.
anything from that process that you would do differently again if you had the opportunity to go to auction again?
Yeah, I think on my end, I would probably be more prepared. I feel like I struggle so much with like procrastination and putting things off, and I just wish like I had a better piece prepared. I actually do really love the piece. It was just small, but that's another thing is like sending a big piece was really difficult. So I guess it was more of a logistical thing, but
Hmm.
Yeah.
like now I feel like I have so many more pieces I would have loved to like represent me to go to an auction house. Um, and then aside from that, I think just like really thinking things through carefully when you're signing like any sort of contract and making sure the people you're working with it's like it fits and is aligned on both ends. That's what I've learned and I've been
Yeah,
implementing more going
interesting.
forward.
That's pretty cool.
Um,
I mean, since we touched on that, what do you feel is the most surprising lesson you've learned about yourself through the art?
Ooh, like through my art in general.
Yeah, I'm throwing you the hard questions.
This is hard. Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like I'm constantly learning more about myself and who I am. Like for me, I think creating art is about connecting with myself more deeply and like every version of myself, like especially my younger self and um just like understanding myself more. I feel like creating art is almost like a mirror, like looking into a mirror and seeing things that maybe in your day-to-day life you don't see or you're trying to avoid and like that's why sometimes creating is very like painful is because I feel like you have to confront a lot of like buried emotions and things in your
Yep.
subconscious, and it all kind
Yeah.
of comes through.
Absolutely. What does success for you looks like now compared to when you first started?
Ooh. I think when I first started, um, ooh, this is such a hard question.
Take it easy, Miguel. Come on.
I know I had a lot of questions for her.
I think when I first started, I was much more focused on just Web3 and what I could do in this space, and I was kind of like, oh, I don't care about the traditional art world. It's pretentious, blah blah blah. I don't need it.
Mhm.
And now I think I'm at a place where I have a better view of like a more holistic approach to everything, and I'm not going to shut out certain areas. Like the traditional art world can also provide me opportunities. Like there's opportunities everywhere, and I don't want to be closed off to that. So I think now, especially since I'm doing more physical pieces, like maybe I will be doing more in the traditional art world. I don't know, like for sure. So far, I'm still pretty focused on Web3, but I guess just now I'm more open minded and can see myself in different places in the future.
That's good.
On the floor behind you, I think you have like a number of pieces, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry if
And
it's messy.
that's
Yeah.
okay. How do you process those in your mind as you're working on them? Are those all connected to you? Do you need to step away to kind of like plan out the next edition of that? Is it like a mental vomit? You just need to get it all out? Like how are those connected, or how do you relate or separate those?
So all these pieces, like these oil pastel pieces, I've started working on this series before the summer started, so it's been a while of just like creating. And the only thing I put out from it is that piece that you pulled up on Super Rare.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I'm just kind of really taking my time with all of the pieces and like titling them and figuring out what they mean to me and what sort of things are coming through from the art. And I definitely need to take a step back when creating. My approach to creating is I usually just show up and create my little space. I like to like have a candle lit and like listen to music and stuff like that, and just like be by myself and be focused. But I don't have any sort of plan usually. Most of the time, I kind of just allow whatever comes through to come through. And it's very messy and all over the place, and sometimes I'll stop before the piece is finished, and then I won't, like this one for example, this really big piece I
Yeah.
started, and there's you can't see it because it's all covered, but I hated how it looked originally. It was so bad, and I left it for months, and I was like, oh, I hate this piece. And then one day I just went back and added a ton to it, and then I added a little more like a week later. So I'm constantly just like stepping back, going back, and then even with my smaller pieces, sometimes I'll create a piece and I hate it, and then later I look at it and I do like it. So I have a ton of, you can't really see, but I also have like these books where I've been storing all my finished art, and I've been like
Nice.
organizing pieces that I feel really good about, pieces that probably no one will ever see because I hate them, and then like an in between where I like them, but I don't know if they fit with like the curated selection. So it's been a big process of curation, which I've never really done before. So I think it's been good for me.
Yeah. I'm not an artist, but what I've heard from other artists is like, one piece leads to the next, whether you intended to or not. So I think there's still value even in the ones that maybe nobody will ever see. There's still value in those. The one on the wall behind you, are there Easter eggs in there, or like your other pieces that, um that really like resonate with you, like a specific thing or a specific reference to a memory that like like makes you smile when you look at that section or you look at that piece? You're like, oh yeah, like that's, I don't know, like a VHS tape that I grew up watching, and that's
Not
hidden in there somewhere.
really. Like I don't usually have like specific like Easter eggs, which I kind of think would be really cool, but I do have like recurring patterns and like very abstract visuals that I
Yeah.
think do mean something to me, but they don't maybe look the same in every piece. I like my piece that we were looking at on Super Rare. It's called Bubblegum Pop Girl Jumping Rope, and I feel like the colors and just the emotions that that piece made me feel were they remind like all my work reminds me of like these distant memories and deja vu nostalgic feelings of like I don't even know if it's my childhood necessarily, but like something that I
Yeah.
went through at some point, and there is a childlike energy to it. And I'm really struggling with figuring out how to put like these pieces into words. So that's kind of
Mhm.
what the process I'm in right now. But I think I have some Easter eggs actually. Like I do teardrops a lot, stars, and sometimes the moon. So actually, yeah, I guess I do have Easter eggs. That was a really long answer for me to be like,
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear, what's behind the art there.
yeah.
You brought up the maker's place, so tell us how you got introduced to that, or did they approach you, or what was that process to start that relationship?
Yeah, so I actually have a friend who I met in New York when I first moved here. We met at Station 3. Her name is Perrin, and she's also an artist, but she works for Maker's Place. So um, they were, I guess, like looking for some artists to be a part of their first ever residency, and I think she kind of thought of me and thought I'd be a good fit. So she was kind of the person that connected us with each other. And yeah, yeah, we just had like the in-person thing last week, but it's really a 6 month long residency, mostly virtual. But yeah, this was like last week. This was at the collector dinner, which is on the last day, but throughout the week, like we went to the Met and the MoMA together, and then we had like different creative workshops and listened to different people speak at the All Ships Creator House. So like Dave Krugman spoke and F. Dot spoke, and Summer Wagner was there. So we heard from a lot of really cool artists and people that I look up to, and um, yeah, it was like a really cool week. It was actually amazing.
Yeah, the pictures look really interesting.
Yeah.
Like some of the pictures of you guys just hanging out at maybe at night and just kind of like doing your own thing. It's very inspiring. It's like a place I'd like to be to watch, but probably not a place that I would fit in very well. But like, it seems like a cool creative environment. What sort of network connections did you make out of that maybe you'll be able to kind of use as stepping stones for whatever's next?
Um, I met like everyone on the Maker's Place team who's really cool. I feel like I had a little bit of an advantage being in New York. I feel like I've met so many people because especially right when I moved to New York, I went to like every single event and really put myself out there. So I knew a lot of the people already, like at the collector dinner, but there were definitely a few new faces I met. Um, oh yeah, Seneca tweeted my work, which was really cool.
That is big.
That's cool. Yeah.
Which I met her actually at Art Basel, but like we had only met I think once, maybe twice, and so I feel like this event really helped me to like form deeper relationships with people. Um, I can't think of like oh, Blondie, of course. She's like the one sponsoring the residency, so I met her and kind of started creating a relationship with her, and she was really amazing and passionate about helping artists. And um, I'm hoping I know she'll be at Marfa with White Walls. I don't know if you guys know of Blondie. She's a
No, but tell me more.
She's a big collector in this space, and she also started this thing called White Walls, which is basically like a software or like an app that you can connect to, I think, any sort of screen, and it just
Oh.
displays artist art and like
Oh, that's cool.
barcode to it and everything, and it like connects to your wallet. So yeah, but she's gonna be at Marfa with White Walls next month, and I'm hoping to be there. I'm really trying to make it there. So
That is
Yeah.
pretty
Have you
cool.
collaborated with anybody, with any other artists, or no?
I have. I did a collab earlier this year with Gabe Weiss, which was really cool because he was like one of my favorite artists for years before I was in Web3. Like he was also in the traditional world too,
Mhm.
so that was really cool. And then there's like a few other small things. Like I collabed with, I don't. This wasn't exactly like a normal collab, but me and my friend Carolina, who is in Web3, she's a model. So I like did the artwork for this sign that she held up for On Chain Summer with Bass. That was a little collab we did over the summer, but yeah, I've done some collabs here and there.
How are you marketing yourself, or like what advice would you give to somebody who's maybe looking up to you and say like, oh, I wish I could be like as successful as Alyssa? Like, how are you marketing yourself either in person or online that maybe someone else can learn from?
Something I've learned a lot this year is like the importance of building a narrative with your work and consistently sharing it, which I think I
Mm.
was doing really well for like a short period of time. It's just so hard to stay consistent. But when I first started sharing my the piece that I got framed in is on Super Rare, like I feel like I was really good about sharing content of that throughout the whole process. So like I would share work in progress pictures of that piece. I would share content of me like with the piece in different ways. I shared content of it being exhibited and like me like carrying the piece throughout the city, just things that are really interesting and are telling the story of the piece from the start to the finish. That I found um, right before I started tweeting all the content about that piece out, my engagement on Twitter was so bad because I hadn't like been tweeting consistently and everything like that. And I also realized I just wasn't like sharing great content. So I think it's all about just like figuring out how to tell a story with your work and get people invested in it. And that drives a lot of attention and like excitement.
Yeah, it seems like its own skill,
It
separate from
is.
the
It's
art.
hard.
Let me ask you something. How do you see the relationship between art and mental health?
Oh, this is a good question because I feel like for me, art has always been like a healing thing and it's helped me to cope with a lot of my like mental health and just things I've been through in my life. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I was just thinking about this a lot recently. At the same time, like the process of sitting down and like being with yourself and confronting and facing everything that you're feeling and going through is like very intense and like emotional. So it's kind of like you have to, I don't know, it's just, it doesn't feel good. Like it hurts and it almost feels like it's not good for my mental health when I'm making art sometimes. But in the long run, I think it's like a great way for me to cope and heal. It's almost like going to therapy when you like sit down
Yeah.
and do art sometimes. But it's also why I often procrastinate on it and just leave a piece sitting for so long is because I'm like, I don't want to go to therapy right now. It's like, I don't want to sit with my art right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I have an entire collection on OpenSea that deals with mental health, men that deal with mental health, basically. I don't know
Oh,
if you can bring it up, Kevin,
Yep.
amazing.
um, but it's in OpenSea, and it kind of deals more with, you know, how men are not. There's a stigma that men can't talk about their feelings or talk about how they truly feel about things. So this collection is based basically on that emotion. And if Kevin can bring it up, then you'll be able to see it.
All
It's
right,
called
slow
Unvoiced
down. I'll get
Echo,
there. Don't yell at me.
That's amazing.
and it basically has to do with just how men can feel about a certain thing and not being able to talk about it.
Did you like draw these all on an iPad?
Yeah, yeah,
They're amazing. Oh my god.
yeah. I drew all these on OpenSea, and if you go to my Instagram, you actually see the videos of me drawing all of these.
That's so cool. Oh,
Thank you,
that's really beautiful.
thank you. Yeah, mental health is really important to me. I think that it's something that needs to be talked about, obviously, and it's something that I deal with personally. You know, with depression and anxiety, and usually I take my frustration out on drawing. So this is
Yeah.
where these drawings come from.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
could definitely connect with what you're saying.
Mhm. Yeah, it
So
definitely needs to be talked about more.
yeah. So is there a message or theme you aim to communicate with every piece or no?
Um, See, like I feel like when I'm creating, I don't really know any of that, and it's like in the process after where I'm like sitting with the art and kind of processing it is when I figure out what it means. So I don't show up to creating a piece and know what I want to say usually. It's more
Mhm.
just like it comes out and it's like pulled out of me. So it's not necessarily things I want to say, but things that just naturally come through. Um, Talking about my art is so hard, and that's something I'm like trying to get better at. It's like really hard to put certain things into words, but I know like my creative process is very much about me connecting to like these places and feelings that I felt before. It's like very nostalgic, and I feel like every artist uses that word nostalgic, but like it's like I don't even know how to explain these places that I like visit in my mind almost when I'm creating, and it's like I don't know if it's from a different lifetime or if it's my subconscious or like dream state or what it is, but yeah, that's I don't know if that comes through in the art, but that's how it feels when I'm creating.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know why I'm like kind of blanking right now,
What do
but
you hear from your community, like the people who collect your art? What is some of the feedback you hear from them about what it means to them when they look at a piece of art from you?
hmm. I feel like it's different for everyone, and usually whatever people say to me is very different than what I felt with the art, which is kind of cool that it can mean something different to everyone. I actually, the series that I brought up a few times that was like limited edition pieces, I did back in, I want to say like June, no, July, August, something like that. It was titled Conversations in the Garden, and that series was I guess a little bit more like structured, and I kind of knew what I was trying to say. I definitely knew what I was trying to say with it. It was um, basically about this garden by my apartment that I go to a lot. Um, and it's a place that I found a lot of comfort and connection to my friend who passed away earlier this
Mm,
year. So, and also that's why I also agree like men's mental health is so important because he was really struggling
Hmm.
with his mental health and took his own life, which is super deep and dark right
wow.
now. I don't want to like make it heavy, but um, so I have been really like struggling with that, and I think finding this garden brought me so much peace because I got so many signs from him and just felt very like comforted there. I was just there today. I go like every single day with my dog,
Wow.
and it's just like a really beautiful space. So that's what um, the art kind of represents is like this garden and just like the beauty and vibrance of life, even when you're dealing with loss and grief. Like there's always signs, there's always connection to the people we love and things like that.
Yeah. How do you stay grounded while managing the pressures of growing like your career?
Um, hmm. I feel like I hope I'm like a pretty naturally grounded person. I like I'm from like a small town, and like pretty much everyone just stays there, and so when I moved to New York it was not like a shock because I feel like I have had the privilege to like travel a lot and see a lot of the world, but I don't know, some people here are just so like
Over
different.
the top.
Yeah, very different than where I'm from, and I just feel like um I don't know. I think I don't know if it just comes from within. I feel like I'm usually pretty grounded and also like humbled a lot because like I'm very early in this stage of my career. I don't feel like I've had success and I'm very grateful for it, but like not even close to where I want to be. So I mean, maybe one day I'll have to deal with deal with learning to be more grounded, but I think it hopefully just is something that comes from within, and I don't ever think I'm better than anyone else, and I never have felt that way. I can't stand being around people like that who are like pretentious and think they're better than other people. So I don't know. I guess it just is natural.
Yeah, you are definitely pretty humble. I mean, I remember when we first asked you to come on the show, and we were just starting out. We didn't even know what we were doing, and you were like, "Sure." You know what I mean? And you were a pretty big deal then already because you were selling out on OpenSea. I remember. Um,
Yeah, times were different then.
yeah, yeah.
When
So
you sorry, go ahead, Miguel.
no, you could go.
When you say you're not where you want to be yet, what like tell us about what that is. Like what are those goals in your mind or like those steps that you want to achieve?
I think a really big goal of mine is I mean, it's not even like a huge goal. It's more like next stepping stone is to have my own like solo exhibition like
Mm.
in a gallery in New York or something, and have a show where I can um invite everyone. I feel like it's like since I moved to New York over a year ago, I've met so many people and have made so many great connections. So, like one of my friends, my really good friends, Molly McCutcheon, who's also an artist in the space, she just had a show sponsored by Super Rare the other day I went to, and she's always just like doing solo shows, and she just puts it all together herself, and it really
Wow.
inspires me to realize like I don't need to like wait for the opportunity to come to me. I need to like figure out how to do it myself, get the space, look for a sponsor to help have the show put on and maybe even help to get it framed. Like I don't know, I'm just realizing I can like take a lot of things into my own hands, and so that's a big next step for me is having my own solo show. In the long term though, like I'm so bad at long term goals. Like I feel like I'm not good at seeing super far ahead sometimes, but that's the next step I guess for now.
And with some of the traveling you've been doing, do you see yourself in any of those other locations other than, New York?
Yeah, I mean, I love traveling all the time, and like my boyfriend travels a lot for work, and he loves traveling. And we went to Mexico earlier this year, and um, he's part Mexican, so he like knows the culture really well and speaks Spanish. I like speak very little Spanish, but I'm working on it, and so I feel like I'd love to go to Mexico during the cold months and just get out of the city because
Yeah,
being in New York in the cold during winter
not
is
great.
not the move. Yeah,
It's
Not great.
definitely not great. Yeah.
yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
hope people take away from your art?
What do I think people take away from Eric?
What do you hope people take away?
I don't know. Like, I honestly feel like I don't ever think about things like this. I'm just like, I love hearing how my art connects to people and what they feel, but I don't know if I have a hope that they take something specific away. I mean, obviously, like with my series that was about like coping with grief and the garden and everything, like, that was a very specific thing I want people to take away is to like, um, just like focus on your mental health and take care of yourself and, um, just like it was kind of I'm kind of hoping it helped anyone else who might be going through a similar situation and like grieving a loss. But aside from that, um, I hope that my art like helps people to reconnect to like the childlike energy that still exists in them because I do feel like my art is very childlike and colorful and vibrant, especially the art I've been
Mhm.
creating lately. And just my art is very imperfect and messy and like stream of consciousness, and I want people to realize like it's a representation of ourselves and of life. It's like it doesn't have to be perfect. It should just like flow and be natural and real.
I want to ask you about the Vayner tour because I know that you've shared your admiration of Gary Vee in the past, and what did it mean to you to like be there in person, and what were your kind of takeaways from that?
It was really cool because I feel like I've seen so much content that was created there, and I have some friends that work there, and I've like still like hadn't ever gone to see the office, and I got the chance to because one of my friends, well, he's not actually from V Friends, but I met him at like a V Friends event, maybe I don't remember, but he has a Vayner Sports Pass, so he got like a +1 to get an office tour. So I
Nice.
went, and it was really cool. I met Gary's brother AJ, and we just like I don't know, got a tour, did some V Friends box breaks things. Um, so it was really cool to just see the office. It kind of triggered me into the day I worked corporate America, and I was like, I actually could never. But this office was like way more fun than a normal
Yeah.
corporate job. Like everyone was, there was just so many people there, and it seemed a lot more fun and like young. So I mean, it was really cool.
That
Do
is pretty
you talking about like that corporate job? Do you feel like more free now that you're doing this, I guess, this independent work for yourself and at your own pace? Or does it feel maybe it's an end door, like more insecure, sort of like you said earlier, like, all the variables that go along with it?
Probably a mix of both. Like, I definitely feel more free in the sense that I have freedom over my time, which is like the best thing. But also, it's like I don't have stable income coming in, so like, um, always like doing little things on the side and like finding ways to make ends meet. It's like,
Yeah.
that starving artist life, but
Yeah.
it's just
cool.
part of the process. It's always like up and down, and I really trust that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, and like I don't at all regret quitting my corporate job. I'm grateful for it and what where it got me, but like it just was not for me. Like I actually when I moved to New York for a little bit, I was working at a restaurant. I was actually everything comes back to Gary Vee, and I feel so annoying about it, and I'm sorry, but it was like one of Gary Vee and his friends' restaurants. So like I was working there for a little bit, and I feel like I'm very open to just like having like a life that's all over the place and sporadic and doing whatever you need to do in the moment. Like I don't want to be on one set path moving forward in a straight line.
Mhm.
I find that like it's just too boring for me and I just want to keep exploring, and so that's my life is a bit chaotic sometimes, but yeah, it's fun, I guess.
Yeah,
Yes, it's good.
it's like Miguel and I have both been with our employer for like more than 20 years, so we're like the worst example of what you're talking
That's
about.
great though. Like as long as you're happy there, that's literally all that matters.
Yeah, I'm a little ashamed now to think about it.
No, you should like no. I think if you enjoy where you're at, like that's all that matters. I just know for me, I hated working my job. I just couldn't.
Yeah, yeah, I guess it looks different for everyone.
Do you have any interest in expanding into other forms of like media or interactive art?
Yeah, I feel like, especially since I've been exploring different mediums recently, like with oil pastels,
Hmm.
um, I'm very interested in exploring like any sort of medium, and also like I always think about video work. Like I used to be really into photography and videography especially, and I would make like short little like cinematic videos, I guess, and I haven't done that in so long, like years, and that's something I would like to get back into and find a way to kind of connect it with my art and sharing my story. So I don't have any like set in stone plans, but I think going forward in the future, I'll definitely explore it.
I imagine your pieces. I in my head like sometimes I see them like the piece like wiggling almost. I'm trying to think of like almost like Dr. Katz cartoon from the early 90s if that means anything to you, but like
I don't know
I
what
feel
that
like the pieces can like interact with each other, and when you
Mhm.
talk about like or like this idea of like animation, like I feel like all the elements on your canvases, I feel like they can all like I don't know, like move together in some sense. Like do you ever see them that way?
Yeah, that's interesting you said that because I feel a lot of movement in these pieces, especially. Um, I think it would be cool like if I was to like do digital versions of them and maybe incorporate animation or something. But in general, they're very like lively.
Yeah.
So I definitely see it.
Yeah, I think the way that you draw them gives it that effect, right? Because almost
Hmm.
like, you keep the marker on the pad and it just kind of connects into the next thing. So like there's
Hmm.
that natural connection from element to element there.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. Is there one thing you'd like to accomplish in the next year? Like, if it is, what would it be?
Aside from like doing my own solo exhibition somewhere in New York, um, I mean, there's like so many different things. Like I'd love to sell my first super rare piece at some point. I'm pretty sure that would happen in the next year. I have a good feeling about it because I keep like exhibiting the piece in different places. Like I had it
Mhm.
exhibited at Station 3 by the Sea, which was an event over the summer. Or sorry, it was just by the sea this year. And then I have it in the All Ships Creator House right now. So just like getting more eyes on it and hopefully finding the person that's meant to have it at some point would be nice. Um, I feel so like I hate that I don't have like a good answer for this because it definitely is something. I need to really sit down and like think these things through more. I haven't been doing that as much lately, I guess.
It's all right. What NFTs are you collecting now? Are you collecting any?
Honestly,
Uh
no.
oh.
Not really. I haven't collected anything in a long time. I mean, like I got this like Doodles Zora thing, like little things like that, but I used to collect like so much more.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, my view on collecting has changed a lot. I think I in the past I definitely had a lot more ETH because the market was good and I was selling work a lot more often. And
Mhm.
so I would like see artists and I would want to support them. And so even
Yeah.
no matter what, I would just like buy their work. And now I'm realizing like I don't have to like feel the need to support everyone financially.
Right.
Like I can support in different ways. Um,
Yeah.
And I don't want to just like have a huge collection of work necessarily. I want it to be intentional, like find pieces I love so much and connect with and that feel worth investing in. Um, I think that's my view right now. That could change, but
That's a
yeah.
good advice I should take. I buy everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Um, all
Everything.
right, I have a question for you about like serendipity. Is that something you experience in your life where like things sort of connect that you wouldn't have expected to connect, or you find relation between things that you wouldn't have thought about, especially as you've traveled more and grown your network?
Is it similar to like synchronicities, kind of?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, like things kind
Yeah.
of aligning together.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
feel that all the time.
Yeah, I think the more creative that you put together, the more likely that is to happen, and I'm just so interested by that. And like a really bad example of that is just in the corporate world, like the water cooler talk, where it's like, oh, if I was working in an office and like I happened to have this conversation with someone that otherwise wouldn't have happened if I was working from home, and that's like the one aspect I miss the most about working from home. It's like
Hmm.
those side conversations, but I imagine with the exposure that you give yourself and kind of moving around and integrating with other people, that you stumble on that a lot more, just like, oh, that person, like how did you know that person, like that I know, little things like that.
Yeah, I think I definitely experience like certain moments of alignment and synchronicities, especially when I feel like I'm moving in the right direction and like in a good headspace. I feel like it's just confirmation from the universe that like I'm on the right path. I'm trying to, I don't know if I can think of specific examples, but like even just like I am one of those girls that's like if it's 222, like that's a sign. Like I
Yeah.
take everything as a sign. Um, like there's that something recently. Just, I mean, even with the garden I go to, like I found a million signs there. Like, um, roses are a really big sign for me, and for like that reminded me of my friend. And like one of the benches broke, and they brought in a new bench, and there's like roses all over it. And then there's this like biblical statue that is covered in roses, and like I looked up what the meaning of that. I don't remember the word. Not
Yeah.
fun. I don't know. Whatever religious figure meant, and it was like this nice sign about just really valuing like the small things in life and doing everything with love. So I don't know if I literally answered that question at all. I kind of went
No,
off
that's good.
on a tangent.
No,
I like it. I
that's
like
good.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um can you tell us about your sweater, because you're from Massachusetts and you're wearing a Yankee shirt? So what's happening?
Well, first of all, it's my boyfriend, so I just steal all of his clothes. But I also just resonate with New York way more. I don't.
Yeah.
I consider myself a New Yorker. I know I've only been here for like a year, but one time, my friend who is from New York said that I was more of a New Yorker than them. So I carry
Wow.
that with me. I don't know. I just love New York.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. So, what's the best entry for people into the world of Alyssa Stevens? Where should people go to find out more about you, or learn more about your story?
I would say my Twitter, well, I have a website, it's just alyssastevens.com. But if you go to any of my socials, like my Twitter or my Instagram, which is my Instagram's Alyssa Stevens Art, Twitter's Alyssa Stevens underscore, you can find all my links in my link tree. So that's probably the best place to go to. But my
Perfect.
website has like in a little about section and everything.
Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Um, all right. Miguel, any closing thoughts here with Alyssa?
No, I did wanted to ask you, like, what is your favorite piece that you've made yourself? Like, which one is your favorite?
Probably Bubblegum Pop Girl Jumping Rope, the super rare piece. That
Yeah.
one, and then
Wow.
this one's not finished yet, but this is like so far I'm really loving and it's up there. But yeah, I think like my newer work feels really good. Um, it's just very different than anything I've done, and I think I've created so many pieces and been better about curating what I like and what I don't, and so it feels very intentional and meaningful to me.
Yeah. Well, it's great seeing you. It's great talking to you. The from where you started when we first talked to you to where you are now has been like an extreme journey for you. And you definitely have evolved as an artist. And we're looking forward to seeing what happens in the future with you. And hopefully we can catch up with you again a year from now.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for having me on. It was really great catching up and just being here again.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time. And we invite everyone to check out alyssastevens.com and give you a follow online. Check out your art.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon, Alyssa. Thanks for joining.
Cool. Of course.
All right.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Bye, all.
Bye.
Great.